France, mid-1400s. The country is exhausted. The 100 Years' War has been dragging on forever. The English control huge swathes of French land. The French king, Charles VII, is alive, but barely ruling. He's anxious, he's withdrawn, he's depressed. Frankly, he's kind of checked out. And then, into this very fragile, very male, very medieval power structure, walks a young woman who is not supposed to matter. She's not a queen. She's not noble-born royalty. She has no official title. But within a few years, she will reshape the French court. She'll influence military policy, rebrand royal power, and scandalize half of Europe, becoming one of the most powerful women in France without ever wearing a crown. Her name was Agnès Sorel, and calling her the king's mistress is like calling Joan of Arc a farm girl with a flag. Agnès Sorel was born around 1422, not into royalty but into minor nobility. Enough education to move in elite circles, enough polish to understand court politics, but not enough power to be protected by tradition. She enters the royal orbit as a lady-in-waiting to Queen Marie of Anjou, Charles VII's wife. And yes, let's acknowledge the obvious irony right away. Agnes doesn't sneak into power through shadows. She steps right into the light. By the early 1440s, she becomes Charles VII's acknowledged mistress, openly, publicly, without apology. This alone was shocking. Kings had mistresses before, plenty of them, but they were meant to be discreet, decorative, replaceable. Agnes became central. She didn't just sit near the king, she spoke to him, advised him, influenced him. And Charles, who had been passive, hesitant, almost ghost-like, changed. Before Agnes, Charles VII was often described as indecisive, fearful, and withdrawn. After Agnes, he becomes more assertive, more confident, more present. This isn't romantic fantasy, it's noted by contemporaries. Agnes encouraged Charles to reclaim French territory, assert royal authority over feuding nobles, and invest in standing armies instead of mercenaries. She tells Charles to stop hiding and start ruling. She wasn't drawing battle maps, but she was changing the emotional center of power. And that matters, because leadership isn't just strategy, it's confidence, it's belief, it's momentum. Agnes gave Charles something he desperately lacked, a sense that he deserved to rule, that France was still worth fighting for. Let's talk influence, real influence. Agnès Sorel advised promoting capable officials over corrupt nobles and support administrative reforms while backing policies that centralized royal power, which, if you're keeping score, helped weaken the feudal chaos of France and strengthen the monarchy, and at the same time help push the English back. Charles VII's reign eventually turns the tide of the 100 Years' War. That turnaround doesn't happen in a vacuum. Agnes is part of the ecosystem that makes it possible. And here's the thing, she did all this without official authority. No crown, no title that mattered, no legal power. Just proximity, intelligence, confidence, and a refusal to play small. That scared people. Agnès Sorel also broke rules that had nothing to do with politics and everything to do with control. She reinvented court fashion, low-cut gowns, bare shoulders, exposed cleavage. Her behavior was both imitated and scorned. Jean Juvenal des Ursins, the Archbishop of Reims, counseled the king to correct such fashions, as front openings through which one sees the teats, nipples, and breasts of women. The artist, Jean Fouquet, used her in his painting, the Melun Diptych, which depicted Agnes as the Mother of God. Courtiers were appalled that the king's mistress and the mother of Charles's illegitimate children was likened to Mary when her status was much less than holy. Chroniclers clutched their pearls. But Agnes understood something radical. Visibility is power. Her image became inseparable from royal authority. She wasn't hiding her influence, she embodied it. In a world where women were expected to be silent, modest, and peripheral, Agnes was luminous and unapologetic. Power like that doesn't go unanswered. Agnes had enemies, many of them, jealous nobles, threatened courtiers, and most notably, the Dauphin, the future Louis XI. Charles's own son hated her. He saw her as manipulative, dangerous, someone who had too much sway over the king. Then, in 1450, Agnes falls violently ill. She's pregnant, she's 28 years old, and she dies suddenly. Official cause at the time? Illness. But centuries later, forensic testing of her remains revealed extremely high levels of mercury, enough to raise serious questions. Was it medicine, cosmetics, or poison? We don't know for certain, but the speed of her death and the relief of certain factions keep suspicion very much alive. Charles VII was devastated. He reportedly withdrew again, grief-stricken. He ordered Agnes buried with honours normally reserved for royalty. Her heart was placed separately, near one of his favourite residences. That's not a casual gesture. That's a king acknowledging a partner, not just a lover. After her death, the court never quite recovered its balance. And when Charles eventually dies, his son, Louis XI, erases much of her legacy. History does what it often does to women like Agnes. It shrinks them, labels them immoral, distracting, dangerous, instead of what she truly was, a political force. Agnès Sorel didn't rule France, but she reshaped the person who did. She proved that influence doesn't require a crown. Power isn't always loud or official, and transformation often comes through emotional truth, not brute force. She lived openly, loved boldly, defied expectations, and paid for it with her life. Agnès Sorel wasn't a footnote, she was a turning point. And maybe the most dangerous thing about her? She made power human again. You can visit the tomb of this fierce and spirited young woman at the Collégiale Saint-Ursin in Loches, département de l'Indre-et-Loire, Centre, France. History is full of women like Agnès Sorel, women who weren't supposed to matter, and absolutely did. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to support our channel.